You know that bougie auntie and uncle?
The ones that laugh real loud.
Ain't got no kids.
And always seem ready to turn up.
And throw down.
Simultaneously. In the name of Black queer excellence.
That's us. I'm Ollie.
I'm Lenah.
And this is Speak on That. And so we talked all night about the rest of our lives. Where we gonna be when we turn 25. Keep thinking times will never change. Keep on thinking things will always be the same. When we leave this year, we won't be coming back. No more hanging out because we're on a different track. And if you got something that you need to say, you better say it right now because you don't have another day.
Is that country?
Ba-bum-bum. Wait for it. As we go on.
Oh my gosh!
We remember all the times we had together.
Wow. That song used to make me cry because it came out like graduation year or something
Same.
stupid like that.
I think it would have came out when we were in like grade 6 going into 7.
Yeah. Wow. We were just like going to high school, guys, or middle school.
It's so sad. Like, calm down. You're going to see these people in 2 months.
That's so dramatic. That's
so dramatic.
Literally hugging each other on the playground like, I get to miss you so much.
I remember one time.
We had cell phones.
Yes. Yeah. I remember even like playing that song in my mind and saying, as you were just saying, goodbye to some of my friends, as if again I'm never gonna see them again.
Yeah.
But like sitting like I was in the music video, head against the wall. Just
wow.
just weeping. Anyway, we are back.
That is so wild.
We are back another week. I'm gonna get into some things today.
Another week,
another week.
Speak.
Yeah.
On that.
Yeah,
you like that?
I do. Yes.
I'm just thought it right now.
Man, we'd be so good at like free flow.
I mean, is that not what we do?
Yeah, you're essentially. Essentially.
Okay. I was like, are you prepping? I'm like, I forgot what we're talking about.
I know, right?
What are we talking about? I'm sure I have.
Oh my god!
Just tell me what the topic is.
I love it, but let's get into really quick. Last week's episode, I just wanted from the top of this episode to address our sound issues. With our dear Victor, we had a 5 to 7 second delay. So if you were listening to it and you noticed it was a little bit like whether we were cutting him off or whether he
was like taking a while to get our jokes.
Or it sounded like he was taking a long time to think. That wasn't the case while we were recording. It is very hard for us because we're recording everything remotely. Because I don't know if y'all know, there's a pandemic. But everything is...
Really? Is that why? I thought I just didn't want to leave the house.
Yeah. So everything is done remotely. There was no way for us to know at the time that recording would have transcribed that way. So apologies, number one. Thank you for bearing with us as we kind of work through these kinks. But we did a ton of troubleshooting and researching and this and that. So we feel good. We feel good. So
and we're doing our best. So get off our fucking back.
Yeah, we're doing our best. Come on, we're doing our best. Thank you. Exactly. So we're not going to be so hard on ourselves. We're just going to take it as a lesson learned and just kind of take it for what it is. But we know Victor will be back.
Of course.
With better sound. But with that being said, this week, got a brand new episode. We got a brand new guest. When you and I started Speak on That, we said that we didn't want to shy away from topics for the sake of shying away from them. So I think this topic is interesting.
Okay.
I think this topic is interesting as it pertains, obviously, to us in a lot of ways. And our guest is going to be able to speak on that as well. And I think it'll, create for a pretty insightful and hopefully, well, not hopefully, engaging conversation, and we'll see what we can take away. Let me just introduce our guest then. So if you were a previous listener of Ollie and All, you know him as a frequent guest. If you are a new listener to speak on that, this is his first time on the show. He is my best friend. He is Lenah's literal soulmate. So it made sense to bring him on for this specific topic. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome into your ears, Kenneth Davey.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you doing?
Good, thanks. I like how you referred to me as this. That's a new one. I mean, it is my preferred pronoun, but...
Oh, listen. I have nothing to even say to that. Truthfully. Just welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Kenneth
Thank
Davey.
you. Thank you.
So excited to have you here. For those that are listening that don't know who you are, do you want to give a brief introduction?
Sure. My name is Kenneth Davey. I also go by Kenny. My pronouns are he, him. I am living currently in Lethbridge, Alberta, and I am 31, and I'm thriving.
Yes, you are.
Love it.
Wait,
Yes.
I'm almost 31.
Oh, you're
yeah.
right. I forgot.
Don't know At first there, I was like, wait, am I 32 this year? And I was like, no.
No, I am not.
Because I actually I might not be thriving on my own birthday, but...
This year doesn't count, so it's fine.
It's the illusion, right?
Yeah.
You're right.
If this year doesn't count, we're all still 30 then.
Yeah, exactly.
We did not use it, so we get to return it.
Sure.
Exactly,
Oh, return to sender. Return
for a
to
refund.
sender.
Yes, absolutely. But welcome to the show, Kenneth. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Oh my gosh. On a topic like this, where we feel like you'll be able to provide a perspective that certainly matters to us, some insight as well. Our approach to this, obviously, is going to be... I haven't even introduced the topic. Dear God, we are talking...
Yeah, you have... Wow.
We're talking about horses.
Yeah.
You said you didn't want to shy away, and today we're doing mammals.
Big ones.
Yeah. Not quite. This week, we are talking about friendship and friendship as it pertains to race. So interracial friendships. Last week, we tackled interracial relationships. So this week, we're going a little bit more on the platonic side and talking interracial friendships. As we all know, friendship comes in all shapes, forms, and sizes. And being who we are, Lenah and myself, we can't talk about friendship without talking through interracial friendships. Interracial or cross-racial friendships, they can be gratifying, but they can also be super complicated, which is why we decided to tackle it today. I personally have been very interested in this topic of interracial friendships and its nuances ever since I read this excerpt of a book by Aminatou Sow and Anne Friedman. They're co-hosts of a podcast called Call Your Girlfriend. And they have this book called Big Friendship. And essentially what they do in the book is they tackle friendship in all of its minute ways, down to the intersectionality of their respective races. So one is Black and one is white, and they don't at all shy away from the topic. And ever since I read that excerpt, I've just been thinking about it, and I've just been referencing it to my own life even, and how it's impacted some of my own relationships. So we're just gonna get into some stuff. Hey?
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Do it. Yeah. So I won't read the entire excerpt of the book that caught my attention, but I'll read a little part which semi-encompasses the excerpt, and then we can kind of go from there. So it reads, race plays differently in every friendship, and not all interracial relationships involve a Black person and a white person, but ours does. Contrary to what pop culture would have us believe, most interracial friendships aren't actually rooted in deep conversations around racial differences. Not in the beginning, at least. Like all relationships, interracial friendships begin when two people bond over things they have in common. So I thought that was a really great starting point because any relationship starts with that initial bond of things that you just have in common. Like you two people connect, they like each other. And
Even
then
if that thing you have in common is your hatred for white supremacy.
hey,
Oh, there
right?
you go. There it is.
Still a thing that we have in common. Therefore,
Absolutely.
friendship is born.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
that's a pretty good commonality, in my opinion.
I mean, that's how I found all my white friends.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't find them talking about like mail or something?
No. I found some black friends, though, talking about mail.
Really?
What?
No. No.
I was like, what?
Kenny's like, let's unpack that.
I have so many questions.
But you can fold it in so many different ways to fit in the envelope.
I can't. So let me just, the first question for y'all is from the foundation, what does a healthy friendship look like to you?
I think a healthy friendship to me is a friendship where you have open lines of communication, where you feel comfortable enough to tell the other person in that friendship, or the other people in that friendship rather, what you need and what you don't need from them, essentially.
I like that.
I really like that.
That was way better than my answer. But I'm just going to wing it. So, I don't know. It depends. Okay, healthy friendship, that's what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it depends on the purpose of that friendship. So, for my close friends, I would say what Kenny said. Where it's like we're able to talk to each other about things and know what each other needs, does not need, wants, does not want type thing. In pertaining to like growth and like being better than we are. For my less close friends, it's like I feel like healthy is like knowing that when we don't talk for 7 months, we're still cool. Like it's totally fine. We can still, pick up right where we left off, and it's not like,
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm into that. I would say a healthy friendship to me is support, like the structural base and like the foundation is of any underlying thing or any sort of relationship is support. So just ensuring that I personally feel supported by my friends is a huge thing. I'm not saying I need like yes people in my life all the time that don't, tell me when, hey, like this might not be a good idea, or I'm looking out for you, just ensure, you know what I mean? I'm not saying, but sometimes it's like, just support me, just support me in this, So I think that's the foundation for me personally.
Yeah, I think with friendship, it's interesting because I feel like there's a lot of different levels of foundation that you actually have to like ask of your friends too, without even realizing it. Because like, I mean, obviously, as I said, you need communication, and you just said you need support too. But in like, even on like the most basic level, it's like you need to have fun with them too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But then could we argue that you have different types of friends for different types of reasons?
Oh yeah, I would definitely say so.
Absolutely.
Like there are friends who like you would never have conversations like we're gonna have with. Like there are people I know who I wouldn't even call them friends. I'd be like friendly acquaintances who I was like, if I ever had a contion of the magnitude I'd have with you guys with them, I'd be like, wow, you're an idiot.
Lenah, what do you think of that though? Because when you'd said like, if I don't talk to you for 7 months or so, is that an acquaintance to you or is that a friend still?
Absolutely not. Some of my closest friends I talk to like twice a year. Like, listen, I'm busy and I'm an introvert and I like to stay home. So like, I kind of feel like it depends on the person's energy and the way that person's energy vibes with me. Because like, I think back to like high school where you had no choice but to see your friends every day.
Absolutely.
Right? Like you had no choice. And some of your friends, like I have friends that No, I don't. I don't have friends I'd be comfortable seeing every single day. Even y'all. And I love y'all.
Wow, that stings.
Does it?
No, because that feeling's mutual.
No,
I mean,
I'm sure
I
you
love,
would get
I
so
love all
tired
y'all,
of
but like
me.
some days I'm like, get away.
Honestly, that's literally me when I was hungover on Saturday morning. I was like, I'm going to stay in this room and I'm going to stay in this bed and hope that neither of those two boys walk through this door. And that's exactly what I did till I was ready. But
your wish was answered.
It was, and I was very grateful for that. I was going to mention it, but I was like, then they're going to know that sometimes I don't want to be around people.
Oh, I couldn't tell.
Oh, yeah, that we never gleaned that from you.
Okay, good. See, and that's why I didn't want to let you know just in that. Yeah, okay. Anyways, I feel like there's some friendships where because there's some things that I deal with on a daily basis. And I feel like the friends that I can kind of talk through that stuff with are the friends that I'm willing and able to talk to more often and like more openly without feeling any type of awkwardness or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then there's some friends where it's like I talk to them about certain things, but I'm not really all that comfortable talking to them about all the shit that goes on in my head day to day. So I don't really... It's like I'll talk to them about the big things, or like we'll talk and I'll be like, "Whoo, I have had a year, bitch. Listen, okay, so January happened," and I'll like catch them up on everything. But for whatever reason, it's like I'm not really comfortable talking to them. I don't say comfortable. I just don't see it. I don't know how to say this without sounding shady as fuck. I don't find it. I'm not open. There's no way.
I was like, perhaps what you're saying is going to be, I don't know, shady.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it just is. And I just have to say, like, y'all, you know how I am.
Apparently shady. Yeah.
Listen, there has to be some shade sometimes. I am a sun sign, okay? Anyways, I feel like I'm not really quite comfortable with talking to them about things while I'm going through the things. And it might just be that they have such a different perspective than me with some things, or they don't have a full grasp on my perspective on certain things. So I feel like they'll give me advice that is more from their perspective than mine, which then ends up getting me in, like, or it's just not useful to me,
Yeah, it's almost like their advice, you don't need their advice because you just know that it's not the advice you need.
Exactly. Yeah. Like in high school, if I was like, my mom won't let me go to this thing, and they're like, yeah, tell your mom to go fuck herself, I'd be like, wow, that's not a thing that I do.
I do.
That is not.
Do you want to tell her that? Maybe. Do you want to tell her that? I'll give you her number.
You don't talk to my mother that way, and neither do I, and neither does anybody. So that was not helpful. But that's a very extreme example. But anyways, Ali, you?
Yeah. What was the question?
Wow. How do you feel about...
I was
lot,
just really listening to you, so that's why I was like,
I was really listening.
How did we?
Myself.
Yeah.
Wasn't the question something along the lines about
the different types of friends, types of friends. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I agree with both of you. I'm gonna float in the middle a little bit. Like, I agree with you, Lenah, where you're saying like you do have friends that you see or talk to twice, 3 times a year, arguably, and you might pick up where you left off. Or a part of me wants to rid the idea of quote unquote picking up where you left off, because there shouldn't have to be this thing where we have to do all of that. If the foundation of a relationship has been built, and we know we connect, we shouldn't have to, like, let me tell you about previously on. Do you know what I mean? Previously on the episode of my life. We should have to do all that. If something big was happening pertaining to my life, that I feel you should have known, you would have known.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't... Like, I'll tell... That's when we talk, though.
And that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. That's totally fair.
Because I'm like, this is a big thing that happened, and they should know this.
I've spoken a lot on this podcast about how important friendship is to me, and I don't take it for granted, and I want to believe I work at them and towards them and have them be, gratifying for all parties involved.
It shows.
So
It does.
But maybe you're the type of person though who doesn't have friends who you only talk to twice a year.
And
which there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I agree with
Yeah.
that. That's why I was the thing with Lenah's point, what I connected with was the fact that sometimes that foundation has been like, it's not awkward when you reconnect. It's just
not
like,
at all.
hey, what up? Da-da-da. So I totally feel that. But then on to your point, Kenny, I'm definitely like, I'm such a communicator, I guess, that I want to let's talk, or what's going on, or whatever. I don't know. And don't get me wrong, I agree. You pick and choose your people for your moments. And I also feel like I have certain people in my life that are overarching and that they kind of notch off like every single quote unquote criteria, I guess. Like you two are that for me. Like I can come at you as a fully formed person. I don't have to hide aspects of myself with you guys. But there are people where maybe I can only give a little bit of this, or a little bit of that, or whatever it may be, if that makes any sense.
Oh no, I absolutely think that makes sense. Like I even look at like some of the friendships I have too, and there are definitely people who I'm very close with who I just don't tell certain aspects of my life to. Because I'm like, I don't need your opinion on it.
That's that Scorpio shit.
Yeah. But it's true though. It's like, I don't need your opinion on it because I already know what it's going to be. Or I just know that you're not going to give the advice, like good advice in that situation. Or there are people who just like apathetically, I know they care, but they don't have anything to say about it. So I just know not to tell people, like certain people, certain things.
And sometimes it's like you and your friends are not going to have the same opinion on everything, right?
Absolutely.
So it's like if you know that you have different opinions on a certain thing, why would you then go to ask that person advice about that thing? Like it doesn't make sense. So just kind of like don't.
Like at that point you're just like being a glutton for punishment. You're like, I want to hear that you disagree with me on this one, just so I can know.
I want to fight right now.
Yeah.
I also feel though the older I get, I feel like I'm understanding that real friendships should allow you, as I was saying earlier, to be your true authentic self. And if you feel like you can't share all of the parts of who you are with someone at this, like, again, 20s, maybe not so much, but the older you get, the more that it starts to almost stifle the relationship, because it's like, oh, this doesn't serve me in the ways that I need it to. So whereas I have other relationships that do. So maybe that's an aspect of how people, I'm kind of getting into another topic altogether here, but how people might fall out as adults. I mean,
that's very true.
Because we are so conditioned when we're in grade school and whatnot, arguably even through university and college, we are just kind of in a bit of a cesspool of the same people. Right. And then I think when we step out into this world, that's when you really get to choose your people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But, I should clarify too. It's not like I'm keeping secrets from certain people. I'm not like leaving like triple lives or any of that.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Joke's on you. You'll never know the true me.
I know it all.
But yeah, because like as you're saying that too, I'm agreeing with you, because there are like, as you grow older, you stop essentially being friends with people because you're like, I have nothing fucking in common with this person.
I mean, I had friends that the only thing I had in common with them was my major.
Literally, yeah. Or like, we go to the same school.
Or like the people you're like, we get drunk together on a Friday night. And you don't talk to them any other day of the week. And then even when you saw them at school, they're like, how are you? And you're like, fine.
And you still consider them a friend.
Do you okay, I was gonna ask that question
at the time. I should say
I think at the time I had very loose ideas of what friends were.
Okay, so this is the thing that I'm maybe unpopular opinion, I don't know, but so when you say friend, what exactly, because I feel like for me anyways, I feel like I kind of hold my friends in different categories. And that's not to say that like I'm hiding part of myself from one or the other or whatever, but it's just that there's some people that, because I do still, even at my big age, I still have those friends that I'm like, when it's time to go out,
Hey.
we will get together, we will drink, we will bullshit, and we will go out and dance or whatever.
And that's all you need.
And
That's a release for you.
like that's when I need
That's
that.
yeah.
Because there are
1000%.
times where I get to a point where I need that, and when I need that, I know they're available for that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And then there's some friends that I have where it's like when it's like something deep and serious happens, it's like that's the friend that I talk to about like those things. But when it's time to like go out or whatever, I'm like, I'm not going to invite them. You know, like I have different friends for different categories, and not to say that like one is better than the other, but it's like there's literally just a handful that I can like I would invite into all of those situations of my life.
Yeah, and arguably, like I think that's so fair and very valid. Is like you can have, we kind of talked about this, but you can have different friends for different reasons. So that doesn't diminish the connection whatsoever. It's because in that moment, that connection is serving you. Yeah, and I should say it's serving each other. Like they're like it goes both ways. Yeah, you're feeding off of each other's energy in that moment. And just because you don't talk to them, maybe every day, or maybe just once you're invited to each other's birthdays, and you dip and you do and you have a good time. I still think that still matters because the relationship is still built on that mutual understanding of what the relationship is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If one needed more than the other, that's when we get into trouble.
I think too, if you look at those groups of friends who do everything together, and when I say everything, like they tell each other everything, they go out together, they travel together.
I'm already offended.
What?
I'm already offended.
You're already offended.
Yeah, go ahead though.
I was going to say, like, those groups of friends who do everything together like that are only friends with each other, though. If you look at the larger picture, they don't have any outside friends. They don't have any people who they hang out with randomly. It's only that core 6 or that core 5 or however many are in the group, as opposed to like us who have different friends, not for like different parts of our lives, but we just have different friends. We have different friend groups. Like those people who will do all those things together often only have that one friend group.
Are you feeding off of like the idea of like Friends, the sitcom, or Sex and the City?
Yes, like exactly like that.
Okay.
Like they were only friends with each other in those shows. Like look at
that. But media teaches us though. Wow, I cannot speak. Media teaches us that.
Absolutely.
Though. Yeah.
Like, that is very true.
I just rewatched Sex and the City, and I mean, as problematic as that show is in every sense of the formation, but
I've never watched it.
It's
okay. I don't
like going back on it now. I was like, wow, Carrie, you truly just said that. Okay. But even like if you ever watch an episode, they'll always introduce a random person, and it's a friend of theirs whom they haven't talked to in years, and they'll say that, I haven't seen this girl in years, and then turns out she's like a hooker or something.
Oh,
I want to circle back to that point, Kenny, in a question later, about just proximity to other friends, because I think that will circle back perfectly. But the next question that I have for y'all is, do you struggle to talk about race with your friends?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think there are definitely awkward moments that you have, like especially. I mean, especially because I'm white, so I mean, a lot of.
Did we not mention that?
Oh, I don't think I did. Because I'm white. I mean, I identify as a biracial Black woman, but my body's just white.
Rachel Dolezal, get out of here!
Get out! This is not who we invited to the podcast.
Joke's on you. It's Rachel. But I think too it's awkward because like there's the association that people have with like when you're talking about race is they often feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not there to feel guilty about it. It's there to talk about so that you can do better, so that you're not fucking up other generations. But a lot of people get stuck on that like awkwardness of it where it's like that's not where it's coming from.
I have a hypothesis.
Yes.
I just thought about it. Sorry to cut you off.
No, literally that was where I was going with that.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. So I get because I've had situations where race comes up, I bring race up, and it's like awkward. I can feel that they feel awkward, like whatever race my friend happens to be feels awkward. Sometimes it's even Black. But either way, they feel awkward. But then it's like, I'm going to bring it back. Okay, let's say my friend is white. But not Kenny, though. But let's say my friend is white.
I already told you I'm Rachel Dozell. Please call me by my real name.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that.
Ooh, hard pass.
I feel like a lot of times what white people are feeling when we do talk to them about race and they start feeling that guilt, sometimes I feel like, no, let me put it as a question. Do you think that it is something along the lines of like, I know part of the guilt is going to come from them maybe being in those situations or like seeing something like that happen and not doing anything about it, or hearing a story about this or that and being like, yeah, it's probably not a race thing or whatever. Like, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think the guilt comes from that, like being in those past situations?
I feel okay. I think a big part of the problem is we're constantly talking about and dealing with and attempting to dismantle structures of white supremacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's on what we're always trying to do. But one of the major structures or branches of white supremacy is with systemic oppression.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with systemic oppression is no matter how well-meaning a white person is or how well-meaning a white person is to our lives, they are still part of that very system that oppresses us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's personal, but it's not personal all at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm okay. Being that racism is such a hurtful and painful thing that we experience, it doesn't take that sting of racism away. So I think that's where it gets weird on that level, as trying to explain that. It's like, I'm not trying to make you feel guilty about your whiteness. I'm just trying to like address this thing that's happening around us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a lot of white people too, it's like when they start talking about these conversations, I think they go back to all the times in their head where they have benefited from systemic racism and where they have had moments where they could have done better but didn't do better, and they have like flashes of it, and then that's where that guilt comes from too. Because they're having moments of like where they're like, oh, I could have been better here, I could have done better here, I should have known that was because I was white, but like they just don't think about it until it's brought up to them in a different context. And then it comes back to them in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that part of the guilt could also come from them, like bringing up situations like that, and then them knowing deep down that the next time they're in that situation, they're probably not going to do anything different?
I think that's 100% what's gonna, I think that's 100% true.
Okay.
I think there are moments where they think to themselves, they're like, oh, like they're talking about this, or like this is being brought up. And they know in the back of their mind, they're like, well, the next time it happens, it's going to be the exact same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is the cycle that you have to break, right?
See, that's the thing that
I don't know if people are willing to.
I feel like what you've, like, like, this is the thing. With the system, the systemic racism is built so that even if you took away all the racists, we would still be oppressed.
That's right.
Because the system is literally built to just work that way.
That's right.
It doesn't need people in there like turning the wheels.
That's
right.
It
just is that way. Mm-hmm. Which is why you need to change the whole system. But I feel like all of it. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I don't think it's very useful for the white guilt to be felt about previous circumstances. I understand the discomfort that comes. Like, I do understand that.
Absolutely,
Not, I don't care, but
I get it, but I don't care about it.
Yeah, literally, exactly. So, but I do feel like if you're feeling guilty, like, I feel like if you dig deep enough and realize that the guilt is coming from knowing that if you were in those situations again, you would do nothing differently, that guilt, I'm like, feel all of it, because you should feel bad about that, and you should feel like shit about that, and you should try to be building yourself up to a point where you are comfortable enough to, like, to say something in those situations or do something in the situations where you can, even if it's not all of them, even if it's not the situation that, like, of course you're not going to peep all of the situations where racism is, doing its thing. But when you do, it's important to speak up about it or do something about it. So if you're feeling guilty because you think that the next time you're probably not going to, or that the next time you're going to hesitate because you're going to be uncomfortable and you're going to have to, like, try to talk yourself into it for so long that the situation's over by the time you get the power to like stand up. It's like, yeah, feel a way about that, because you need to work through that. Like, that's something, again, a feeling that I understand, but I feel like it needs to be actively worked through, because your discomfort in us talking about it as friends is not more uncomfortable than me dealing with it every day since the day I came out the womb.
I think to that point is it comes down to emotional labor. So
Yes.
really, at the end of the day, that discomfort that you're feeling and the offensive remark that was made towards somebody of color, no matter the race here, you know, who's going to take on the emotional labor? That person of color or you? And really, the emotional labor, processing that comment or processing that microaggression is just a tiny facet of it, you know? Because as you said, Lenah, before, like sometimes we are processing things in real time. Like, it's like, did that person really just say that to me?
Absolutely,
And is my white friend here
Yeah.
not going to say anything about it? Like, it's just kind of like you're troubleshooting in
You're
real
almost
time.
like in like shock.
Yeah, absolutely.
And trying to like figure out like what just happened.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for me personally, the most painful experiences for me, or the deepest disappointments that I've had with you know, with white people, is when white people have had time and time and time again failed to speak up when their voices would have mattered in the matter of that systemic racism. Like, they could have provided a voice that I couldn't. Because if I'm in a room full of nothing but white people and your friend's friend says something, I can't really step up because I still have to protect myself. And who knows how this is gonna go? Like, like it's just I get it. Like, as you were saying, well, as you were both saying, like, it is uncomfortable. But we need to, as a culture, as a society, we need to get used to being and feeling uncomfortable, because nothing is going to change without it. Like, that's that growing pains that people talk about.
That's true. Yeah.
I think too, it's like a lot of the times white people don't have these kind of conversations because they often too have that mindset where they're like, well, like, I've never seen that kind of racism before. I don't know what that is. And it's like, well, racism is everywhere every day. So it's like you turning a blind eye to it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means you're turning a blind eye to it. So it's like
go ahead.
I was gonna say, so they don't have these conversations because they just don't believe that it's as prevalent as people say it is.
Do you feel, Kenneth, that do you think it could change the dial if white people started having that conversation with other white people?
Absolutely. And I think that the biggest thing with that too is like, you guys we have to be understanding that, like, yeah, it's an uncomfortable conversation to have, but it's an important conversation to be had, because like our privilege is going to help other people gain privilege. And like, that's the biggest thing too, is like, if you have a conversation about racism with your friends and you're uncomfortable by it, you have to realize that the next time you have that conversation, you're going to be less uncomfortable.
That's exactly.
And then and then by the third time you have that conversation, you can tell it to a fucking stranger and you'll be fine.
That's
the biggest thing is like, these are your friends. You're supposed to be most comfortable with your friends. You can't have these conversations. Like, that's bullshit.
Then you're really not, if you can't have these conversations with your friends, you're not helping anything in society as a whole.
Absolutely.
Because if you can have the conversations with the people closest to you, then you know damn well you're not going to have them with a stranger. You're not going to have them with a coworker. You're not going to have them with literally anyone else in your life. Not your grandmama, not your mama, not your dad, not your cousin. And like, therefore, you're just you're a waste of privilege, pretty much.
You know,
absolutely.
Then this. Oh, go ahead, Kenny.
I was just going to say, and that's that though. Like, you're just wasting your privilege and you don't realize it.
It's like, what's that saying? It's like Superman knowing how to fly but not flying, or something like that. Like, there's something like that. That's what, you know, privilege is essentially. But this is going to kind of circle back to that point I was talking about, proximity, and in the example of the, you know, I'm going to use TV shows just to really, not just to make this palatable, I guess, is, you know, Friends, the sitcom, or Sex and the City. How often were those people talking about, you know, race or social issues? Not very often, right? And that's okay. It's a TV show. We don't expect that from them. They're there to entertain us. I'm not saying that that's their intent or purpose, but when we apply it to real life, there is something to be said about proximity and the idea that birds of a feather flock together. So you could know somebody like Lenah, you and I could know like white people who are politically or ideologically on the right side when it comes to like rights and liberation for people of color. Like they could be on the right side of history. But if they are not in proximity or close proximity to other white people who are not, it's going to be easy for them to fall off of that train. Like they're gonna lose steam.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what I'm saying? They're gonna lose steam because who's around them to remind them or challenge them or inspire them to keep up that work?
This is the exact thing that I was saying when I said that you don't, just because you haven't seen somebody be racist, or you haven't seen somebody have an opportunity to be racist, does not mean that they are not racist.
Absolutely.
You being around only white people all the time and not hearing them say anything racist does not mean that they're not racist. Like, they have not had the opportunity to be. So, like, if you're surrounding yourself with white people and y'all don't talk about race at all, chances are, bring a black person, a brown person, an Asian person, bring anyone other than a white person in there, and some of them are going to feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Well, yeah,
like,
there's that statistic, isn't it something like 3/4 of white people only have white friends?
Yeah,
I think it was 98 or 89%.
Yeah, like something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
And that comes down to obviously like the way that people are honestly segregated at such a young age because of, you know, more so in the States, it was more so like location segregation, like these are the white suburbs, so the white suburbs go to schools with white kids, and white kids make friends with white people. It still applies here, do not get me wrong.
No, Canada's perfect. Applies. You take that back.
But being that, you know, they're the how many people they have and how often it occurs, it's so transparent there. We've talked about how this is a problem right here in our own backyard too, and we cannot point a finger down south and be like, look at what y'all are doing. No, it is happening right here.
Hear me out. Listen, because me growing up in small town Alberta,
and I also grew up in small town Alberta too, so I feel the sentiment already. I already know where this is going.
It's not
because where I grew up was even smaller than when you grew up. So like
okay. So it's not like all these white people were rushing to be my friend. Okay. And when I say that, I'm saying that as it was, again, I've mentioned it before, in the school it was me, a black girl, there was an Indigenous girl, and there was a mixed guy that we thought was half black, but then found out that he was a mixture of something. He was brownish.
Okay.
But everybody just looked at him like he was black because, you know, what do they know? There's so many people that are like, you're the first black person that I've ever met. And I'm like, that's gross.
You're like, wow, what a great ribbon.
Right? I'm like, hey, I'm number one. But like I feel like it wasn't like everybody was lining up to be my friend. People did not come and talk to me, or sometimes if they did, it's like they expected me to be some like, I don't know, like a video vixen type or something like that. They expect me to be like Felicia from Friday. And I'm like, I wouldn't meet their expectations, and they're like, nah. But then even when I would meet their expectations, they were like, nah. Like, it was, again, it wasn't like a friendship thing. It was more like a perform for us thing. So like, people were not lining up trying to be my friend. They were very much comfortable with their white counterparts that they were around. Yeah. Like, I went and fit in with like all of the, like, listen, I don't want to call us misfits because we were bomb, but like, it was like,
but if it was a high school movie, you'd be labeled as misfits.
Exactly. Yeah. If it was a high school movie, we would be the misfits. Like, that's who I fit in with. It was never the popular kids or the people that, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like people were rushing to be my friend. Like, because I wasn't like, when it was a new girl that was pretty and white, people would rush to be her friend.
Yeah.
When it was a new girl that was not, people did not. They just, it wasn't a thing. So I feel like even in situations where, like, even when there is the option to befriend a Black person, a lot of white people will just not. And it's a comfort thing. And I get that to some extent, but it's like, and I can understand it when it's in large numbers. Cause I know even, some of the schools in Calgary, it's like, they'll be very multicultural, but it's like the white kids still kind of mostly hang out with the white kids. And then the Black and brown kids mostly hang out with the Black and brown kids. Like, there'll always be kind of those, cultural cliques, which makes sense. But then at the same time, it's like, you need to, I feel like those kids adjust better because they're at least around people that are not like them. But the kids that grow up where it's like they had 2 or 3 people of color in their whole school, I think they might go through a little culture shock when they leave small town Alberta.
Yeah, but like that was what my school was. I think like the first person who had any form of melanin came when I was in either grade 7 or 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was, and like, again, like the city, like the town that I went to like school and stuff was only like 7 minutes outside of Lethbridge. So I think for the most part, if people wanted to move, they would move to Lethbridge over Coaldales. That's where I went to school.
Is Lethbridge any more multicultural at that time?
I don't even know, actually, because I didn't go to school in Lethbridge.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but I like that's the thing though.
The university would have been.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
But maybe
See, I always
not
forget about that.
But maybe not the high. I mean, I can't speak to the high schools there and stuff, but
Yeah.
I know the university certainly had its fair share of diversity. Let me say,
Yeah.
But there is, as we were talking about this, there's a term that was created by this writer named Wesley Morris, and he coined this term called trapdoor of racism. And this is going to kind of speak to what we were saying earlier, but I'm going to quote this. It says, "For people of color, some aspect of friendship with white people involves an awareness that you could be dropped through a trapdoor of racism at any given moment by a slip of the tongue, or at a campus party, or in a legislative campaign."
Yeah.
But it's not. But it's not always anticipated. That trapdoor. It's not always anticipated. The trapdoor describes the limited level of comfort that Black people feel around white people who are part of their lives in a meaningful way. So the way that this applies to this entire conversation is just saying how, again, Lenah, to your point earlier about like, you know, when you only fly or flock or engage or stick to white people, your one Black friend runs the risk of being, you know, verbally assaulted, more or less,
basically, yeah.
in a group setting that you brought your friend into,
and they don't even realize that too.
They don't
because they're so
realize
used to their own like. Their
Why
own
do y'all think? And I'm not talking to you two specifically. I'm talking to my friends, anyone that may have or may have not known me. Why you think I stopped coming to your parties and shit? Because
First of all, you were never invited to our party.
I am your parties, okay?
That's true. That's
Girl,
true.
speak on that.
But
You
yeah,
tried it.
But I think too, it's like, so even like the fact that you just said like, why do you think I stopped coming to your parties? Is I wonder if like these people who were inviting you and like, or they're like, oh, Lena's not coming again. If they're like, oh, that's just her personality, or it's like, nah, bitch, it's because like you have some wild ass friends.
And that's the thing is that it's not even it's not even a situation where I'll like go to their like whatever birthday party or whatever, and it's like I walk in, it's a bunch of white people, and I'm like, oh, okay. Or sometimes it's like there'll be one Black guy and he's like all up on some white girl in a corner or something like that. Like he's not even checking for me, and I'm like, okay, so I'll just be. And it's like it's hard in that situation because if you're like coming into it as the only Black person and then also coming into it as knowing only the person that everybody else knows, you're kind of forced to like, sounds so bad. You're kind of forced to socialize to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember so many times just kind of like sitting and there's times where like I'd go to like these things with my ex who was also white, and I'd kind of like just sit in a corner for a bit and observe and like drink my drink slowly, see who makes eye contact with me in like a nice way that like implies that they might want to have a conversation. Kind of see what conversations are already going on. Like I feel like I have to do a lot of observing the space before I engage with anyone to deep, and especially because like when people are drinking and then when I'm drinking, it's like, you know, like it takes, I want to make sure that where the conversations I'm stepping into are like safe-ish for me.
It's interesting, like, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's interesting you bring up that point too, because there are so many times too when I think of parties that like Ollie and I have gone to, and you can just immediately see the discomfort on his face because there's only white people around.
Yeah.
Or furthermore, only white gays around.
I've been in that situation
or what are
too.
worse, straight white women just staring at you, and you're like, "What are we doing?"
The situation.
there's a sea of Deborahs, and I'm confused.
Deborahs.
But it's like, but that's the thing too, is I don't think a lot of people realize the privilege that like even I have going into a party where I see a bunch of white people and I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? As opposed to you two going into a party and being like, yikes.
Literally,
yeah. What did
like,
you say that one time? A sea of milk?
A sea of
milk.
A sea of milk.
A sea of milk when you are lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
And it's like, I did not bring my lactate pills tonight.
Yeah.
I should have known to bring them. Did not. But like and sorry to like make it dark, but like I'm not gonna say dark because dark is a beautiful thing. Sorry to make it a little bit gruesome, a little too real, but like there's literally been, I've heard in the last like month, I've heard 2 stories of Black people that have gone to parties, like have been invited by someone to a house party or something, and then either left beaten the fuck up or dead.
That's
so
wild.
Like that type of shit is kind of that's the reason my mom wouldn't let me go anywhere when I was younger, because she's like, no, there's some girl in I think there's a indigenous girl from BC somewhere years ago, many years ago, who hung out with some white girls, and then they like took her to a forest or something, and they ended up killing her.
Oh yeah, that was I actually just listened to a podcast about that like literally a month or so ago.
Yeah, my mom would bring that girl up to me.
Yeah, and they left her under a bridge and she died.
Yeah. Every time I asked to go anywhere with my friends, my mom would bring that up. Every time. And it's like, what do you say to that? Like, as a 16-year-old, that's like, I just want to go to the mall with my friends.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Okay.
I don't even have a proper defense besides, like, my friends aren't like that. And she's like, that's what this girl said to her mom before she left. And that was the last time her mom saw her. And I was like... And
then at that point, you're like, I'll go to my room.
Literally, I'm like, hi, guys. Sorry, can't go. Something came up. And it's like, I've been known as the person that cancels all the time. And a lot of time, that's what it was. Like, a lot of times that's what it was. Is that I got into some type of argument with my mom where she's like, I'm not comfortable with you doing this thing with these people because I don't know them like that. And even though you think you do, you probably don't. Or you might not, like you never know. Or they might bring somebody else along, or they might take you to somewhere where there's some people that are not very nice or whatever. Like, all of that is kind of swirling in my mom's head every time I'm like, hey, can I go to my friend's house? So it's like the answer was automatically just no, like before any questions were asked.
Has that developed for you into your own adulthood? So when, instead of, you saying like, hey mom, can I go to this party? Are you asking yourself, hey, Lenah, can I go to this party? And are you telling yourself, well, no, because I don't know who's going to be there? Or like, has that been conditioned into you as an adolescent, as into an adult?
And you should know, because you invited me to something. I'm like, who's...
Oh, listen, I'm asking so that people can hear. I know. Because you and I are... Like, I know. I
want to know who's all going to be there.
Yeah.
And I also want to know, like, if we are going, are we, like, how long are we staying there? How long are we obligated to stay? I also want to know, like, is it going to be, like, if it's going to be mostly white people, I would like to know that in advance.
Yeah.
Like, if it's going to be, like, a mixture, I'm fine, whatever. But if it's going to be, like, if I'm going to walk into a room and, like, me and Ali are the only Black people there, I would like to know that in advance.
Yeah. I know when Ollie asks me, like, who's going to be there, I know what the question is.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'll be like, there's going to be no Black people and we're the only gay people, so... Or I'll be like, it's mostly straight women, and he's like, oh god. But it's like, I wonder too, like, I feel like a lot of people, when they invite you places, they don't think about that. I know they don't.
I know
No,
they don't. They
I know they
absolutely
don't either.
do not.
Yeah.
They're just
No.
like, I get along with this person and I get along with you, therefore you'll get along with this person.
Yeah,
And I'm like, that is not how relationships work at all.
And because I found too, though, a lot of people who think too, just because you're friends with somebody, I've had really challenging moments with them, and I know Ollie has had really challenging moments with some people too, because they're backhandedly and microaggressively just racist.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like people don't think that because they're like, well, I like them. I think you'll like them too. And I'm like, this person is not my personality.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a very, as we said, uncomfortable conversation to have or to have to address. But I will say, you know, specific to you, Kenny, like what I love about you is you do provide a space for me to bring that sort of stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, the foundation of any friendship should be like we all, the three of us talked about this earlier this week about how you can't expect somebody to show up as their full selves if you don't give them the space to be their full self.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Right. So I think for you, Kenny, what's wonderful about you is you are somebody that I will attest. You use your privilege for the greater good, obviously. But you also give us a space to be our full selves. And if something the night before happens, like we'll kind of, Lenah and I will be talking about it. But we know that you're not uncomfortable. We don't have to kind of like coddle you through it, you know?
Yeah.
You're just, kind of like listening to us talk or whatever.
At this point, we barely have to explain.
I'll let the listeners know I've never once been coddled by these two.
We don't do that.
They don't do that. They don't do that.
Not. You would not be.
There's literally
no time.
There's no time, no energy.
There is no time.
Either you with us or you not.
Yeah.
It's not my job to deal with your emotions.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's so true. But that goes back to even that trapdoor of racism, right? Is like that's why these social situations are sometimes very difficult or awkward or uncomfortable to walk into because we don't know. Yeah. Especially when you're not even signing up for that sort of thing.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
What we're gonna walk into. So I'm a huge advocate of, like accountability and kind of like, you have to own your stuff. Yeah. So what I get upset about is if I end up in a social situation where something or somebody says something problematic, and it could be the tiniest microaggression. Yeah. And I'm still like, damn it, why am I here? I'm kind of mad at myself for
really.
I know that is something that I know I need to work on.
You do that a lot.
I do. I know.
Yeah, you do. You do. You punish yourself for other people's actions when you're like,
you're almost like, could I let them treat me this way? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, because you're almost like, I should have known better. It's like, but how should you have known better when you don't know this motherfucker?
Know? Yeah.
How would you have known?
You don't know what this dizzy bitch is up to.
Oh Lord, for real though.
Yeah,
you don't.
I know.
So you can't blame yourself for that. I will leave a situation and I'm like, fucking Steve, why the fuck he invite me to this fucking shit? He knows I'm a fucking nigga. Why he invite me to this white ass bullshit with these white ass fuck? Like I will literally be out there cussing my best friend out.
And like
I chose Steve because I don't know any. Steves.
You don't know any. I mean, thank God. I was gonna say because even to like a lesser extent too, it's like when people invite me places, I'm like, am I gonna be the only queer person there? Because I am not having a conversation with some girl named Brittany about her fiance and her wedding. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, my gay ass don't give one fuck about your man. I do not care what he's doing. I do not care about you.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, not about race, but like as gay men, which demographic are you most comfortable hanging out with that's not gay men?
Oh, that's a good question.
Gay women?
Okay.
I would easily say Black women.
Straight Black women?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna all encompass that. Like, did you want me to include sexuality in that?
It's mostly about sexuality.
Okay.
And not so much about race.
I would
because obviously I know you'd hang out with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I absolutely. Now that I'm thinking about it, absolutely, I would say non-straight Black women for sure. That's where I would feel the most safe. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like
It's because I was quick to jump on gay women, and then I think the more I think about it, like I'm like, I don't actually know any gay women really. Like, I know like 5.
Wow, fuck me then, right?
You were one of the 5 I included, Missy.
Wow.
But like really though, it's like I said that so quickly, and I'm like, actually, I never hang out with gay women though.
But if I could,
But if I could,
would.
I'm gonna have to start.
Yeah, I think that's certainly where my head goes to, is like just is I know you said no race, but I can't help but think of how, obviously race conditions people, and
okay, but let's say black is not an option.
I see no color.
We're all Africa.
Okay, let's say black is not an option.
Yeah.
Let's say black is not an option. So really, is it coming down to gender and
sexuality?
Women, just women.
Okay.
Straight up, yeah.
Straight,
you, Kenny?
Gay, bi, all of them.
It's a tough one because I'll probably have to say women because that's who I mostly hang out with.
Same,
but it's
really,
like, yeah.
I thought I was the only one, guys.
This is so awkward. Do you want to tell her? we know other women. This is my apologies.
I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not.
Okay, I'll call them after this is done, and I'll drop them immediately.
Thank you.
I
really appreciate that.
So welcome.
This is why I keep you around.
Yeah,
because you're just so sweet.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think that would have to be excuse me. It's just women in general because that's who I hang out with mostly.
But but even feel safer with women in professional settings. So
yes,
female dentists, female accountants, female. Do you know what I mean? Or female therapists. Like that's
my
where I
therapist
feel the
is
most.
a white man right now,
and when you told me that, I was shook.
That is
I'm really struggling.
Do you love chaos?
They didn't give me a choice. They're like, we're gonna match you with someone, and you have to have at least 3 visits with them before you decide if you click or not. And I'm like, but I can already tell that I don't. I'm like, I haven't mentioned race once, and I talked to him for an hour.
You're like, for Christ's sake, his name is Dwight.
Oh my God!
I was like, it's hard because I'm talking to the oppressor, and about my struggles being oppressed, and it's just. I mean, I feel like you're not really fully understanding the connection that I'm implying, and I feel like I'm just going to come out and say it, and I don't know how you'll take it. And that's a scary thing.
That's going to slap a little differently. When you're like, I feel oppressed, and you make eye contact with this white dude, you're like, bite you.
This is a whole other conversation, but I wonder how that would, and Lenah, maybe we'll speak to this on another episode or something, but how that kind of changes the way you even speak about it. Does your language change? Does your body language change? Because I think as human beings, we have natural instincts to protect ourselves. That's that fight or flight thing, right? Mm-hmm. So if you know that you're talking to, as I was saying earlier about somebody that is of the body that is a part of the systemic racism, how comfortable can you feel? That's a really
complicated way to say white men.
Yeah.
But for you, talking to somebody where you get the most vulnerable is how can you get that vulnerable if you know that this person fits into, but then they also have to be professional and, but anyway, that's
so it helped that
thing.
There was okay
go.
It helped that there was no one, it was just me and him talking.
You didn't bring an entourage?
White no, not this time. White men in general, I find I can deal with white men better one-on-one than I can in groups. Groups of white men make me very uncomfortable. Gay or straight, I'm very uncomfortable with them. But because it's just when it's a one-on-one thing, I feel like, and this is maybe problematic, I don't know, but this is just my experience. When I'm one-on-one with a white man, I feel like he is more likely to see me as a woman than I'm a woman first to him.
I totally see that. Yeah.
But when I am one-on-one with a white woman, I'm black first. I feel like white women tend to especially white women I don't know, when it's just me and them, especially in professional settings, I feel like a lot of times they will first see me as other than them, then the same as them. While with white men, it's like they see that I'm different than them, but they are like, she is a woman who is black.
Mm-hmm.
While white women will look at me like, she is a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they kind of, it's like I don't want to say the power dynamics, but kind of the power dynamics are a little bit different. Like I feel like white men will have a little bit when we're one-on-one, because as soon as you bring a white woman into the mix, I'm a man. like like me beside a white woman is a completely different thing to a white man than just me alone.
Yeah.
Like this is there's a lot of comparison that happens where it's like a white woman can walk into the room and all of a sudden it's like, fuck that bitch.
Mm-hmm.
But like I feel like with white women, I can usually feel that like disconnect kind of more so than I do with white men. So like had this therapist been a white woman, especially a younger white woman, I would have not.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I hear what
Like
you're
I
saying.
don't.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit stressed out, but it's cool. I will handle it. How
Yeah.
are you today?
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear that. That makes a ton of sense. Have you guys ever had to deal with a friendship breakup? Like, have
Last
you
week.
ever?
Yeah, you heard me.
I thought we were going to talk about this on air.
I'm not saying any names. I'm just saying that it's a situation that happened where I was very disappointed, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna tap out then, because why am I here?
Yeah.
I'm not here to be I'm not racist. I have a black friend that I haven't talked to for a fucking year. No, bitch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore.
Yep. Kenneth, have you ever had to deal with a friendship? Like, have you ever had to go through a friendship breakup or divorce or this
Divorce
question...
is dramatic as fuck.
No, I like the word. The word.
It wasn't divorce because we did have to split assets.
And the reason I say divorce is because divorce in the traditional sense or traditional term is a longer process, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes that's like you are choosing to between holding on or completely letting it break. So if you guys have ever gone through that, like sometimes a friendship breakup is just like, hey, we're done, it's not working anymore or whatever, take care. But that friendship divorce is a little bit more elongated. But if either of you have, how has it impacted you?
Yeah, I mean, I have for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the ones that I have had to deal with have been they've been more like the divorce situations where they're just like long and painful because they just won't fucking end. Because it's like that situation too. It's like in my mind, it's like I know like when something is over almost, but then things just keep on coming back in, and things keep on happening. So it just like felt like it was drug out for so long. And at that point, I'm like, it's out of my control. I've already tried to like get over this, quote unquote, but it's like I can't get over it if X, Y, and Z keep popping up and making themselves so prevalent. Yeah, I mean, I will say I've been pretty lucky. I haven't gone through a ton of them, but you know, I've gone through one, and
I mean, they hurt worse than breakups sometimes.
Absolutely.
You know, friendship breakups hurt worse than romantic breakups. But I was gonna say, like, friendship is just friendship as we're conditioned is such a natural assumption. So there's just no natural check-in points when it comes to friendships. Unlike a relationship where, like, if there's a communication breakdown, you have to kind of address it.
Yeah.
Or if someone isn't happy, you kind of have to bring it up. But friendships, it doesn't allow for that. But I feel like it doesn't allow for that because everyone operates under the assumption that there isn't necessarily room for it, or because society has taught us that romantic relationships take precedence. Right?
Yes, that part right there.
Right? Yeah. So we don't have the tools, the resources, the data, the anything as a reference point to how to deal with friendship communication or breakups or rectifying them or whatever it may be. because everything that we see in film, media, music, literature is it's very romanticized through romantic relationships. But again, for me, a lot of my most intimate relationships have been friendships. So I've had to apply those rules that are applied to romantic relationships and place them in my closest, not every single friendship, but my closest friendships. And for me, that's been interesting, I guess, but but because of that, like, I mean, I've definitely gone through, you know, friendship breakups and friendship divorces, and they certainly on a level hurt worse than romantic breakups that I've had, at least, you know, because again, that's just how I value friendship, and then that's why they hurt, for me personally, worse. But that's just me. Yeah.
I've only had, I don't think I had a lot of like full out friendship breakups. Thankfully, there's one big one that I've had that was kind of a like almost like a ghosting situation. Not on my part because I'm a fucking adult, but
and I cannot stress this enough. I am an adult.
Yeah, grown woman. Okay, and then
you had a friend ghost you.
Essentially, where I was like, I was under the impression that we were absolutely cool. I don't remember getting into a fight with you. I don't remember anything being hostile between us. And now all of a sudden it's like we have beef? How? Where did it come from? I don't understand. I don't remember cows. What's happening? And it's like a no communication at all. No Facebook friends, no Instagram follows, no like
weird.
Just,
that
like,
is weird.
Isn't it?
Very weird.
Like I would think, like, you know what? You ghost the guy who you sent a picture of your titties to. You don't ghost a friend.
Yeah, but yeah, not gonna get into that one.
Yeah.
But most of the others, like most friendships that have ended like in my adult life, have been more situations where either they do or say something that upsets me, and usually it's racist, or they behave in some type of way that is racist, or they say some shit about me that is like a racist stereotype. And then it's pretty easy to just be like, yeah, I'm done. Yeah. And I'm like, if you have questions about why I'm done, that's exactly why I'm done. Because I don't like what? Like, did you think that was okay? Like, I'm not gonna.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Like, I'll like, I do make it known that like this is not something that is okay. Again, because I'm an adult. But it's not gonna be a whole thing where it's like drawn out and they're like, because usually I'm just like, that's it. Like, I'm very, very much okay. Like, I love my free time by myself. I love it. So I'm really not. It's one less person to invite me anywhere. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm good. I really don't need that where I have to be explaining. Like, it's too much. I've been doing it for too long, and I'm too old for this. So, yeah. Yeah.
No, I feel that. That's very true.
But those are not hard for me for some reason.
Yeah.
That's not true. Because I almost cried when I thought...
I'm gonna say, you listen.
I literally teared up. Oh my god!
No, I know.
It's just there's some people that I hold to a higher standard. So
how are those no emotions you have going?
Listen. I don't know why this has to be brought up every episode lately. Okay,
because every episode you're on the verge of tears.
Shut up! Listen. It's just sometimes, you know, my allergies or whatever. Like,
I got dust in my eye. It's bad.
It's real dusty in here sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it just be like that.
That's so funny. So before we go here, Kenneth, just one more question for you. How has it been for you as an outsider, kind of watching, you know, your best friend and your literal soulmate according to that book, that little book,
according to us, because it's obvious.
Yeah.
Life and that I really want to push that book. Like, I really want to just like,
the numerology book. Yeah.
Yes, the numerology book. Like, listen, you guys,
why don't you put a link to it in the show notes?
You're right. And I get like
That's a good idea.
yeah, that's a good idea. Okay.
I
Smart guy.
say that like you wrote it.
It is an amazing book, though. It's just
Buy
such a
my
great...
book. I didn't write it, but I have it.
Yeah.
And
Buy my
Lenah
book. None
and
of the proceeds go towards me, but please get it.
yes, Lenah and Kenneth were soulmates according to this book, which is why I'm just addressing that way. But
which makes so much sense.
It really does. It really does. But for you, Kenny, how has it been? Sorry, as an outsider, kind of watching us, as two of your closest friends and and two Black people, especially in the last 4 or 5 months, and what's been happening in the world.
It's like, I'll be honest with you, it's been hard. Like, oh yeah, shocking. Like that's the best way to put it. It's just been hard because it's like I can see the pain on your faces. I can hear it in your voices when you have to talk about this shit. Like, some of this stuff is deeply painful. And like, I'm the soundboard where, like, when you're sad and depressed, like, I hear that shit and other people don't, and I don't think, but then you put on a brave face for other people, and people don't realize that, and I don't think people know that. Because they think of you as, like, especially like you, Ollie, they think of you as like this, like, really happy-go-lucky, strong person. It's like,
so why are you putting all our business out? Like, people don't know, but sometimes y'all be crying.
but I mean, it's true though.
No, I feel you.
True. I'm not saying it's not true.
It's so true.
But it's funny too, because we have all these people too who are like, oh, Ollie, your friend Ollie is so happy and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, he is, like, for the most part, but it's like they don't see the pain that, like, is caused by white people. And then they never question it. Like, I'm sure there are tons of our friends who, like, just don't get it because Ollie puts on such a happy front all the time.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And you, as you said, you have been obviously an amazing soundboard for us, and just like, again, to have that place where we can just land our thoughts and feelings and emotions onto, and you take it with it all, because sometimes, Lenah, you and I are like, these white people, like,
and usually as the resident white person. As the resident white person, I'm like, am I included with these white people, or are these different white people? Because at the end of the day, they are the same as me.
No, they're not.
No, you're very...
No, you are very much the exception to the rule. Yes, like, I refuse to... You're another one that, like, if I got certain messages from you, I would burst into tears. I'd be like, how could you do this?
I trusted you.
I trusted you.
But I mean, like, and that's the thing too, is like, even again, just going back to it, is like, I feel like a lot of people don't realize, like, people who are listening to this podcast who know both of you, like, you guys talk you guys talk in this podcast, and you're very open and forward about this kind of stuff. But some of these people, I can guarantee you, wouldn't have a conversation like this with you in person.
And that's the whole idea here, right?
Yeah.
With this podcast, is to invite that conversation when you're in a room with us. Like, we're not shying away from this topic.
No.
So the idea is, if we're, if you have a question, ask us. If you, if whatever it may be, like, we want to invoke these conversations in so many social circles, I guess. That's the only way. That's the only way we can change.
Yeah,
that's literally the point.
It's literally the point. Exactly.
Like, y'all need to be having more conversations than you have been, and these are some of the ones.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Like, we got to get uncomfortable. Like this. I mean, I was with you two, and I personally felt a little, not uncomfortable at times, but it's just a topic that's so nuanced. So it's like, you kind of feeling like, oh, am I saying too much? Am I, fluent? Am I not saying enough? Am I giving weird, what's the word I'm looking for? Am I, I don't know. But even now, as I'm talking, I'm like, this is the part of it. This is the podcast, and this is why we're doing it, is because it's real life. Yeah. And we're gonna get uncomfortable and awkward and weird, but that's the whole point.
That's the only way.
That's the only way. That's the only way.
But yeah, pains, in the same breath, it's like, you have to have these growing pains, and if you truly want to be a better person, have a better world, and all that, all that jazz. It's like you have to have these uncomfortable conversations.
Absolutely.
And like that's the whole point.
Absolutely.
Like the whole thing we've been talking about today is friendship. And we're talking about friendship because we're saying simply that you are a good enough friend that we should be having these conversations.
Yes,
Yeah.
speak on that. Yeah.
And like if
Exactly,
people are
yeah.
listening to this and they're like, well, I don't know if I could ever have that conversation with you or with them or with whoever, it's like evaluate if that person is actually a good enough friend to have a conversation with. Because I can almost guarantee you, if you're not willing to have that conversation with them, they ain't shit.
Yeah.
And keep the ones you love close.
Yes, absolutely.
Remind them every day how much they mean to you. You know, like, and just keep them close. That's a big part of it as well. All right, y'all. We went a little over time, but that's okay. I'm not mad. This is a part of the process. Kenneth, thank you so much for being a part of this episode.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. As always, a pleasure.
Any last minute things you want to say before we let you go?
No, I you know, I think we just got to know that you got to get uncomfortable to be comfortable, people.
Amen. Now, amen.
And as you said too, like keep your friends close and don't let them go, especially we're in a pandemic, y'all.
And keep your enemies close enough to stab them.
Yeah, and then actually, you know what? Really quickly, we just need to talk about this super quickly because I've been on this call the whole time. I need to know why Graduation was the song you sang. Like it's like I've been going over it in my head. It has been
disturbing me this whole time.
It's the start of a school year, for God's sakes.
As we go on, we remember all of the times that we had together.
Oh, so you're just reiterating the song. Okay, cool.
So, but the thing is though, Kenny, is as our lives change.
Oh, from one another?
Come whatever.
We may still be.
I think it's not
friends.
May. It's not a.
Might
be friends forever.
My version of the song is might be, depending on what you do.
Kenny, thank you so much for being.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're the best, and
you guys are the best. I love you both.
You are the love you,
and
we'll be right back, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
And we are back.
And queer and black.
Yes, we are.
I'm getting better.
Every time.
Every time.
Wow, what a conversation though, hey? Like that was I feel like super hyped about it. I'm just like thankful to have that space where we could go to those levels and obviously there's just a ton of nuances to it, but it was still really great to just be able to get there and hopefully, as we said, incite some form of conversation or around said topic. But nonetheless, it is time for our pop culture segment called Pop Culture Period.
No, that's not.
No, it's not. What's it called?
Say it again, slower. Say pop culture.
Pop culture.
Period.
You stressed me out. I'm like, did I get it wrong again? One day we'll get it.
It was just the inflections.
Yeah.
One day.
One day we'll get there. But this is where we come at y'all with some things that have been happening in the news. We have 5 minutes to dissect each topic. I'll address the story or set up the story, I guess. 5 minutes on the timer. We talk about it, dissect it, call it a day. As soon as the timer goes off, that is it. We're actually going to be able to do it this time. That's it. So,
do you think so?
I think so. I think there wasn't much in the news this week, so that's why I'm like, these are kind of like, but it's okay. It's okay. So first up, so after 16 seasons, 20 years, countless spinoffs, and all the memes, the reality show juggernaut Keeping Up with the Kardashians is officially coming to an end.
Is it really?
You didn't know. Let me tell you.
I had no idea.
Let me tell you. Kim Kardashian
Wow.
West announced via her Instagram, we are beyond grateful for all of you who have watched us through all these years. I hate that accent.
You tried.
I tried it.
Yeah.
Through the good times, the bad times, the happiness, the tears, the many relationships and children, we'll forever cherish the wonderful memories and countless people we've met along the way. End quote. So the final season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians is going to air in 2021. So the question is, will the show be missed? Or is it about time? And has this been a show that has cemented itself in popular culture? Our time starts now.
I'm going to miss the messy clips, and I'm going to miss the kids, because that's all
they
I really paid attention
so
to.
Cute.
So cute.
They make the cutest little babies.
They really do.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do. I agree. I don't know. I think, 20 years is a long time.
It's actually been 20 years.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. Like, that's
actually
stupid.
wild.
I feel like this is like, okay, like I never watched the show ever. Like I never, like I know obviously, like I've seen episodes or I've seen clips and stuff, but I never like sat through an entire season of the show. With that being said, I don't know, like I'm like, I feel like they just can't keep up with the current times of what it actually means to be famous now. So they're all going to have to actually lead into their respective talents,
careers.
Quote unquote, or careers. Exactly. So I legitimately think Kim is going to be like this lawyer chick that, you know, gets black people out of jail.
Or like lawyer adjacent.
Yeah, right. Whatever that is. I feel
whatever Courtney, it is, keep doing it.
Yeah, keep doing it. Exactly. Because that justice system is I feel like Courtney was over it forever ago. Like
Courtney has stopped attending, basically. Like she's been like, fuck this shit.
Yeah, right. I feel like the only person that this is, and maybe I'll be proven wrong again, but I feel like the only person this is gonna hurt is Khloe. Because what does she really bring to like the table?
Doesn't she have those American good American pants, jeans?
Oh,
I mean, not that's
I guess. I feel like the two stepsisters, the Jenners, are fine. Like they're good. Like I mean, they're fine. I don't know. Out of the three of them, I guess I guess you're right. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they keep up with the fame in the current climate as what it means to be a celebrity, because they Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say they maximized and they milked everything they could have out of like, I mean, and the mom, we should say, Chris, really did all that, you know. It was just like, she was like, I'm telling you, these girls have no talent, but I'm gonna make them famous.
But I made it work.
So power to her. But go ahead. What are you gonna say?
We have to remember that this is new face Khloe, so she may or may not do better than old face Khloe. Because now she has a new face.
You're not wrong.
And new body. Wrong. So she might kind of go into more things, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The thing is, it's like none of them are singers or actresses or...
One is a model, like a
one is a model. Yeah. And again, arguably fought her way into it. But other than that, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I feel like this might be the beginning of the end for them as a... Do you remember when the Osbournes were huge?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, this might be the
Yeah.
beginning of the end of that. Like, it's just like,
That would
well,
be
kind of.
nice. I think
Yeah,
that's
I would not be
healthy
mad
for
about that.
them. Yeah, that should be, because I don't want those kids to grow up this way anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I know they're not my kids or anything, but I just from my own perspective, I'm like, I don't think this is healthy for the children.
Yeah.
Literally, North is up here all in her mom's business, spreading all of their business all over Instagram. Like, you should be paying more attention to your kids, not your friends. And I'm like, well, she's not wrong.
She's not wrong.
She's not.
Yeah, no, it is, you're right. It's time, because those kids are young enough to now remember. Wouldn't it be weird, though, to know that your home videos are a reality TV show? Like,
yeah, the whole world has seen them.
Yeah, they're going to watch their home videos, or when they're older, but knowing that the world has seen them. That's so weird to me.
And it's like, ugh. Because it's like, can you imagine watching your mom be that messy?
No. I'd
rather not. Okay. Oh. I don't have much else to say.
So glad that's over.
Honestly, listen. Same.
Because, yeah, I did not have much else to say. Ooh, all right. All right, so our next story of our pop culture.
Period.
Thank you. On September 5th, 2020, a fire that had burned down more than 7,000 acres was caused by a firework set off in California. The purpose? A gender reveal party. The California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection stated, and I quote, "With the dry conditions and critical fire weather, it doesn't take much to start a wildfire. Those responsible for starting fires due to negligence or illegal activity can be held financially and criminally responsible." End quote. So the question is, have gender reveal parties gone too far? Are gender reveal parties truly even necessary anymore? And our time
just have a regular baby shower. Honest.
Time starts now.
I'm so sorry. Don't worry, I'll repeat myself.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, have a regular ass baby shower. I don't really I don't know. I just have a baby shower. You don't have to. You're doing the most. They're doing the most. That's the problem. If you're gonna have like a gender reveal, you want to find out the sex of your baby. Fine, whatever. Mm-hmm. You don't need to do the absolute most, because the big surprise is not like it's a boy, it's a girl. The big surprise is you're pregnant and you're having a fucking baby. That's what people should be excited about. Yeah. Not like, I'm having a baby with a penis. Like, that's fucking weird. First of all, like, I know it's like in like this whatever Western culture and stuff, but I don't know. I've never. No one in my family has.
I was gonna ask you, did any of your sisters with your nephews and nieces do that?
No.
Yeah,
all of them were surprised. Every single one.
Yeah,
and all of us also.
We're all surprises. Yeah, same.
Which is also like, mom was like, "Oh, a girl, wonderful." She's like, "Maybe this one will be a boy." She's like, "Oh, a girl, okay, that's nice." And she's like, "Maybe this one will be a boy." She's like, "Oh, another girl, okay." And then she's like, "Maybe this one will be a boy." She's like, "Oh."
4 times.
I think we're done.
4 times.
And it was the opposite for Juliana.
Yeah, that's so funny. You're right. But yeah, the gender reveal party is going too far, obviously. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous.
What happened to just giving the baker what happened to that? Just simple.
Yeah. You know,
like fireworks.
I remember I had a coworker once tell me, she said she didn't want to find out the gender of the baby, because she said that this is the only, and I'm going to obviously paraphrase or loosely paraphrase, but this is the only genuine surprise that I'm ever going to get in life. And I was like,
Aw.
yeah, I thought that was really sweet. But anyway, to each their own. I'm
Yeah.
not out here trying to be like, oh, do it or don't. But I
Yeah,
think
if you
like
want to
when
find out,
yeah,
but like,
yeah, of
don't
course.
involve fireworks and
Yeah.
firearms and anything that can cause fires because
Yeah.
that's unnecessary.
And then there's also the discussion, if we would even want to go there, of just like the difference between gender and sex and how,
Mm,
like just
yeah.
that's a whole other conversation, obviously. But
Which is why I said you're literally like, the surprise is that, yay, I'm having a baby with a penis or a
mhm,
vagina. Yay. And it's like, okay,
mhm.
that's okay.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I say this from the perspective of someone who has not always had this opinion,
Oh,
but that's just where I'm at right now.
okay. So prior to this, you were four, sorry?
I mean, I never thought that I would, just because it doesn't seem like we do that in my family.
Right.
But I was like, I would get excited about gender reveals, like,
Gotcha,
and I still,
gotcha.
like, when people do, when any of my friends that have been pregnant are like, oh, I'm like, is a boy or girl? I'm like, it's a girl.
Oh, me
Whatever, it's a
too.
boy.
I
still get excited.
absolutely, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just feel like you're doing too much.
Yeah, don't put other people in harm's way, though. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Like,
again,
it doesn't really.
7 acres
it's just
is a lot of
lot.
land. That just
It's just a lot.
It's a lot.
Just stick to something that fits in your backyard.
Yeah,
Just
the cake. Why not just do the cake?
the cake is a classic.
Yeah,
People should stick to the cake, or even like the balloons.
The
like when you pop
balloons,
the
yeah.
balloons,
I mean,
and
the
then the
thing with the
different colored
balloons is,
glitter
like,
falls out.
somebody got to clean that up. So that's
You
what
know
I was
what?
thinking
That
about.
is very factual. Yeah, that's true. And you can't just leave it there because litter,
Yeah.
right? So
the cake, at
the
least
cake
you
is the
eat
best
it.
bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're gonna have cake anyways,
Yeah.
right? Like,
yeah,
the
absolutely.
cake is the best way to
Absolutely.
do that.
Do you think you would have a gender reveal if you were having a baby?
No,
You would want to be surprised. And
absolutely.
yeah, okay.
Because I'm gonna be like, ooh, it's a girl, and the kid's going to her like 7 and be like, actually,
Yeah,
be like, oh, my bad.
Hey, you never know, right? You never know.
Like, I don't.
And
I just, yeah.
Yeah.
I also feel like it's pretty irrelevant because I'm like, what is?
Yeah.
Like, I think about boys. I don't know. For me, anyways. In case you weren't aware, our children are going to have my last name. Well, I guess we can't discuss that any further. What's the next one?
I cannot with you.
Carry on to the next.
That is it. That's all we got.
End.
That's the end of it. We can't.
All right.
Let's take a break and we'll be right back, y'all.
Okay.
And we are back.
And queer and black.
And it's time to speak on that.
Beep, 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 beep. I just feel like this is like the,
This is what we got to do.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. That's it. No further explanation needed.
That's just it.
It is.
That's just what it is. So speak on that, our segment where we come at all of y'all with something that we just want to speak on randomly. It could be something pertaining to life, pop culture, anything and everything in between. Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Is yours positive or negative?
Mine is a rant. I'm a rant. Yeah, so it's negative.
Okay. Well, if they're both going to be negative, then I'll just go first.
You go first.
Okay, so my speak on that. What I want to speak on this week is a topic that's very near and dear to my cold heart. People who willingly choose to remain ignorant.
Oof. Wow.
Yeah.
Speak on that.
All right. So, in the year 2020,
Oof.
where everybody has a full ass computer in their pocket. And maybe 1 or 2 full ass computers at home. I just find it really hard to understand how someone is going to continue to stay blind to issues that are being talked about everywhere. At this point, I feel like you're actively trying to ignore this information. I'm 99.9% sure that there are many people that are actively trying to shield themselves from this information, which to me, I think is, dare I say it, I believe it's a sin, okay? Because the Lord did not put us on this earth for us to be dumbasses. That
or
was
give us
not
these
the Lord's
resources.
will. Exactly.
Or these
we have all
tools.
these resources for what? Why do we have them if we're not going to use them? Like, it doesn't make sense. You can lead a horse to water, but if the horse is dehydrated and still doesn't drink, then that's a stupid ass horse. Like, you can't sit here and try to convince me that you are an intelligent, intellectual individual. Ooh, alliteration.
Hey. Come on, like, now speak on that.
You cannot. I'm not convinced of any of those things if you decide to stay ignorant and if you are closed off to any other viewpoints or perspectives. Because one thing that I know is that me personally, I try my best to like understand where other people are coming from. And even if I understand, that does not mean that I care. That just means that, like, yeah, if I was in your position at some point in my life, I could see myself feeling the way that you are feeling.
Empathy.
I don't care. I don't care that you're feeling that. Sometimes I don't give a shit. But I'm just saying that, like, I have the ability to put myself in other people's shoes to some extent, most of the time. And I feel like a lot of people are just not even trying to do that. And it sucks because I'm like, this is the thing that gives us our humanity, and you are actively rejecting it. Therefore, why is you here? Like, what is the point of you if you're just going to continue to do stupid shit from the past? Like, we are not there anymore. Evolve with the rest of us, or like take yourself out of the equation. That's it. Oof. That's it. Those are the options. Don't come and start talking about how, like, justifying your bullshit. Don't justify your bullshit. It's bullshit. It smells like shit. It tastes like shit. It looks like shit. It's shit. That's it. Like, don't come at me trying to tell me that it's something other than shit, because that's what it is. And I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, and I don't want to see it, and I don't want you spreading your nonsense to anyone else. So just keep quiet. If you're not willing to educate yourself, shut the fuck up.
And this is in reference to, are you generalizing? Like all encompassing?
I don't want to point any.
That's fair. No, that's
fingers.
fair. Say no more. Say no more.
But I will point my whole hand in the direction of whiteness.
Yeah. Say no more. Yes,
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to speak on, because that is annoying and disappointing.
Yeah, no, I'm. You deserved a big gulp of wine after that one. I heard that.
Did you? I couldn't even laugh, probably because I was still in my mouth.
No, I feel you all the way through and through. I think, again, we are given these tools, resources, these access points. I
literally call myself the fucking resource. And then you want to come to me with your stupid, dirty mouth and say nonsense. Are you? No. No. Anyways, I'm done. That's it.
Yeah. All right. Well, fully with you, fully support you, fully ride with you, fully get it. Because, that's not what we're doing anymore. At all. We're just not
Yeah,
doing
do
anymore.
better.
Do better.
Mhm.
I'm going to speak on... Let me just get situated.
Oh, God.
All right.
Okay.
I want to speak on what happens when we are all out here trying to get some exercise, okay? So
Speak on that.
So here's my
on
thing,
that.
though.
I'm
This is
ready.
good. This is gonna feel layered, though, because I've got some
I'm so
things to say,
ready.
though.
Woo,
So
let's do this.
the last several evenings for me pertaining to 6 to 7:30 p.m. ish, I have gone on some runs. Now, the area that I live in is residential. It is also it's a sidewalk. Like the where I run, I go around an entire like boulevard essentially, but it's a sidewalk the entire way, with the exception of one part where there's a pathway. Now, if there's a sidewalk, how wide is a sidewalk, would you say? How wide is a sidewalk?
It's about the width of 2 people.
Thank you. So if there is 2 of you and 1 of me, what do you like? In my mind, I've been so conditioned and raised to just be respectful to the elders, to others, whatnot.
Yeah.
Right? So now take into account the COVID of it all. So if I'm running and I see somebody, like I can see them coming on the sidewalk as well, I go onto the road naturally. Okay. But the other day I was like, why do I keep doing this? Why are they going onto the road?
Yeah.
Why is it always me? So yesterday I decided, let me test this theory of mine.
Ooh. I love this game.
It's like that game of chicken, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm running, and I'm noticing that I have yet to come across one individual that is either walking and or running by themselves. It's always me by myself or 2 people as well. So again, they refuse to get behind one another or whatever it may be. So, but my question is, why won't you think to do that? Or why is it me that's going on the road? Like there's no rhyme or reason. There is one thing that I'm gonna say, and this is the one thing that I'm gonna say.
Okay. Yeah, say it.
I also live in a majority white neighborhood. By majority, I mean all.
That way.
With the exception of one
There is one
black family.
Oh,
and
there's a family.
There's one, yes. And when we see each other walking,
one single individual.
Yeah,
but I don't think they live there no more.
But it's funny because when we see each other walking and or running, they're an older couple, so they will be walking. But when they see me coming, they will wave at me. They'll get off a sidewalk and get on the road. And they'll wave at me and da-da-da. And I'm just like, oh my God, they're so sweet as I'm running. And I'm like, I'm waving at them as I'm running, da-da-da, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm like, oh, that's so nice. And now the common denominator here is privilege. So we talk a lot about privilege on this podcast. So you claim the sidewalk as well? Like not these black people, but like the people that aren't willing to move. I'm going to tell you today, Lenah, tonight when I ran right before this podcast, I went for a run. I was like, let me get my juices flowing because I really want to be like very alert and aware for this one. And there was somebody on a bicycle on the sidewalk. How?
Please don't tell me that they didn't move.
They didn't move!
What what?
So
on a bike.
How is it on me to move to the road when I'm running while you're on a bicycle on a sidewalk? And they do the whole like, oh, shoot, sorry about that wave. And I have headphones in, so I can't hear anything. But they're like, sorry about that wave. But I'm like, but you saw me coming.
That's the thing. Like, how you gonna say sorry when you literally, like, you ran right into me, though?
Privilege
Sorry,
works
like, what
in
do
a
you
lot of
mean?
different and interesting ways, is what I'm learning. Even on the sidewalks of these streets, privilege works in a
Absolutely.
lot of funny ways.
Sidewalks, hallways, grocery stores. Like I've played that game where I stopped moving out of the way for white people.
Come on.
And let me tell you, the amount of dirty looks I got, the amount of like white people I got like just bumping into me or like shoulder checking me, like it's
But
like
why should it have to
listen.
get to that shoulder check part of it though? Like again, if I
Because
wasn't willing
it's
to
a game of
move,
chicken, and it's like
that it
neither
is.
of us are planning to, you know.
But
So they're like,
I can see their heads assuming that I'm gonna move. Like they're just like, oh,
yeah,
he'll move.
they expect you to, and then when you don't, they're kind of like, what the.
What
Exactly. They see it as like disrespect almost without even realizing that it's like you too have legs and the ability to step aside. Why does it have to be me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like the last few days it's thrown me off because I'm like, what is this thing that makes you feel like I have to move and you do not? Why can't we even meet each other halfway? I'm not saying we all have to get out. So why, when you two are covering a full sidewalk, why can't one get behind the other and give space for me? Again, the COVID of it all, I've been trying to be respectful. I've been like, oh, let me actually get out the way fully. Especially if I see it's an older couple, I'll be like, oh, let me like go over here. But I also, absolutely, 1,000%. But when it's not, I'm like, really? You're just gonna? Are we gonna run into each other?
Yeah. I literally, when you even started saying this, I literally just imagined you running and some like white guy running, and then you guys just running and then just hitting each other head first. And he's like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah. And that's the thing.
And it's like, you too could have moved.
Yeah.
You also could have stepped aside. You ran into me.
But why would it always be like, oh, he ran into me, not the other way around? It's just the language is also funny as well, right? Like he would look at it like you ran into me, but I'm like, no, we ran into each other, right? Yeah, because you weren't willing to move, and neither was I. So we ran into each other, but you would view it as you ran into me, which is not the case. But nonetheless, like just please think about if you're on the sidewalks and stuff, like just please, please be mindful.
I don't like to run, but I enjoy long walks, but I didn't have time for a long walk today. So I did like I walked a little and then I ran a little and then, but even in those times, like and in the area that I'm in now, it's like, there's a lot of brown people. So most of the time, it's like we'd be passing each other and the sidewalk is empty. Both of us are on the grass.
Yeah, because everybody's respectful.
I'm like 6 feet, right? 6 feet.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, that's
I didn't really
good.
see many. I didn't see many other white people.
No, let it be. Yeah, well, blessed be, right? Like it's just like. Yeah, that's just something that I've noticed, and I'm just, there's we only have so much time where we can still kind of do like outdoor walks and runs and stuff before fall really hits.
Do you know that it snowed on Sunday?
What?
Oh, did I not send you the video? It snowed here.
No, it didn't.
It wasn't like sticking to the ground, but I could see thick chunks of.
I don't want to talk about it. No.
Not thick chunks, but it's like you could visibly see that it was falling from the sky as snow, and then it would hit the ground and melt.
I don't want to do that. No, it's too soon.
Yeah, me neither.
Too soon.
I could have cried, but instead I just shut the blinds.
Yeah, that's the way. Yeah.
I was like, this will all be over soon.
You're like, not today.
Yeah.
Not today.
I'm not equipped
exactly.
to deal with this right now. So what I'm going to do is shut the blinds and drink some wine.
There you go. Self-care.
Right?
I love it. But with that being said, that is our episode of the day. Yes, huge thank you to Kenneth Davey for being a part of that, obviously, and kind of I know you were like, why do you keep calling him Kenneth?
I'm like, who is Kenneth?
In the text messages, Lenah was very confused, and I said, I'm trying to.
You're like, Kenneth, are you ready, Kenneth? Kenneth.
I was trying to train myself for the actual podcast.
I was like, I didn't know we were being so formal.
Oh yes, darling.
No,
darling.
okay. I had no idea.
Bruv, I'm quite formal, darling.
You can't be that type of British and throw in bruv. Those are two very different types of British. Oh yes, bruv.
Oh yes, bruv. Would you like a cup of tea, bruv?
Oh God, you're so
This is where
annoying.
at the end of the shows when we get so cackly that we're like,
I'm sure people are just like, okay, guys, you're
wrap it up.
You almost finished your goodbyes. You almost
Exactly.
I think it's because we're tired.
People don't truly see the behind the scenes of the recording of a podcast. True. There are so many facets, and especially today when we were trying to ensure that connectivity was right and this and that.
Lots of troubleshooting.
Lots of troubleshooting and stuff. So I guess you're right. We're tired. But nonetheless, with that being said, you can find us on social media, on Instagram and Twitter at Speak on That Pod. Find
you can
black.yyc on Instagram and via website findblack.org. And anything else? Any last minute?
Yes, you can also find us on TaylorMade Radio.
Come on.
Network.
Come on.
Look that up.
We are so
not the profession.
thankful for that connection. Actually,
absolutely.
We should actually address that right now really quickly. So thankful for that opportunity, to be honest with you. That was shout out to Taylor and the work that she does. It's such a great platform for content of people of color. It is just amazing. So to be a
Black
part of that
coming together.
Yes, to be a part of that family is just very, very cool and very exciting for us, and very it's super cool. So another
check us
channel
out on there.
Yes.
And check everybody else that's on there out.
Come on now.
Follow, subscribe, do all the things.
Yeah, that's right. Do
rate
not
us
forget
5
to
stars.
rate. Do not forget to rate. Rate is
stars,
very
5
big.
stars, 5 stars.
Yes. As I always like to say, that's the way that people find this show, and new people find this show and become engaged in the conversation. But with every rate, it really does go a long way. Or every review, if you take the time to write a little something nice about us, it goes a long way. So never think that it doesn't. So thank y'all to everybody that continues to rate, subscribe, share, all of them things. We are so grateful.
It also makes us smile, big.
It really does. It's just this is so nice.
Yeah, it makes our days.
This is so nice. So shout out to everybody that continues to do it. And if you have not done it yet, now's not too late.
No time like the present.
No time like the present. But Lenah, I love you deep.
I love you wide.
And we will talk next week.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.